Alrighty. Let's jump straight back into it, I think. See how we do. Hey, Future Cityscape. Yeah, you did make it. Good work. The Twitch didn't kill the notification for no reason. It's always welcome. Might be another shorter one today, but hopefully this week instead, be able to stream again in a couple of days' time. Just find moments in the chaos to stream. Didn't notify me purposely left the stream up. I think the error is on my end. Oh, okay. It's definitely strange that it's an error to begin with. I wish I could troubleshoot that for you. Feb 10th, 29 Bisha shipment. Just like a stock kind of thing going on in inventory. Okay. So last thing that I remember.
It smells dead.
Smells dead. Nice. It's nice and evocative. Gotcha. Okay. So just Twitch tying itself up in knots because of an attempted cleaning up of those knots. A severing of the Gordian knot that is digital following. Twitch being a small indie company, yeah. Well, it would be nice if they received some proper funding or something at some stage, right? I ordered the saltpeter for tanning, not for your powder. I've moved it up to my stores, and there it stays. Requisition your own, Delacroix. Okay, so we're looking for the tank key or something to actually make it so that we can fire the tank. We got a wee jump. Can Tassie jump over this? Yes, she can. Cool. I assume we can use that to get a monster later on? I don't know. We'll see. Okay. What have we got in here? And the one thing I got to remember is to actually use my light sources in a sensible way. Because, last time that really didn't happen. Okay. Do not remove tools. What are you going to do? Just a sign. Can't stop me. She doesn't really know how to wield a hammer. Can we move this junk out of the way? Yes, we can. And we can open this door. Can't let a sign tell me what to do. Okay. Exactly.
Mother of God. What happened here?
Okay, we've... Probably shouldn't look at that for too long, right? Oh, there's a grenade tied to the belt of that guy. I'm gonna get the match out. So he was killed despite rigging himself up to a suicide trap by the looks of it. Okay, this seems safe. Is this where I want to go? It seems dangerous. There's got to be another way out. Yeah, this way. Seems more reasonable. And what I always like about Amnesia...
Maybe this isn't such a great idea.
No, it's better than staying inside because, all Amnesia protagonists have just such an incredible fear of the dark that within 30 seconds they're going absolutely insane. Although, yeah, maybe I can't get across here the way I think I can. Probably shut the door. That's what I should probably do. Go back through, shut the door. Then try and jump across. Gonna see if... see how athletic we can be. That's the... Was it X to check on the baby?
I guess I should just have a look around. See if there's anything that can help.
Alright. So it really is just a objective checker kind of thing. Okay. Oh, that did the traditional Uncharted thing of destroying the platform you jumped across. No way back now. And now we're inside the grenade room with all the dead guys. Okay, what's this say? To those who have come after us, I have failed. We tried to die in defiance, but these devils will not allow it. The screaming does not stop. I cannot shut it out. I cannot bear it. They treat my men as a cruel child treats a puppy, reveling in the joy of their pain, and they watch all the while. Alderic keeps crying my name. Gardinier has stopped breathing. He is the lucky one. Suicide is a sin, but the Lord has deserted us, and I will not give these demons their satisfaction. So here I take my stand and make my death on my own terms. I pray you do not tell my Aurelie of this fate. Tell her we died in some glorious noble purpose, and that I was a father to be proud of. She has done nothing to deserve this hurt. Sine Dio. Captain Lafair. Cool. Nice that he, wrote all that out for us. And also expected someone to come into the room after he rigged up a grenade trap to the door. He had some foresight, at least. Light up the room a wee bit more. There's a canopic jar there. So as I said last time, I really like the setting. The setting seems more novel to me than quite a few other traditional horror game settings. But yeah, just some Egyptian artifacts by the looks of it. Ancient Egyptian artifacts. And a couple of sort of esoteric cubes. Okay. What's he got here? Got lantern oil. And some medicine.
Careful. Careful, this is rigged. Some sort of trap.
Don't worry, yeah, I got that. Can I lift the hook off is the question. Is there anything else in the room first? I was going to have a look over here. It was too dark before. Okay, good. That was actually what I was looking for. So we got our laudanum. Do not use in children under 1 year old or during pregnancy. It may cause respiratory distress. Okay, so it's not a good idea to use this. No matter how scared I get by the sounds of it. Kind of want to look after the pregnant woman and her baby. Don't want to do myself any damage. As an anodyne, sedative, hypnotic poison in excessive quantity. Okay. Nice to know we've just got some of that floating around in our inventory now. I do like the little bit of storytelling that he was like that nationalistic fervor. He's holding the French flag till the last. Yeah, so I was wondering exactly the same thing when the story started. Why exactly she still decided to make a trip to the middle of the Algerian desert despite knowing that she's pregnant. And obviously, since it's a horror game, she's
Why now?
her pregnancy is advancing more quickly than she would like. So there's obviously something funky going on. Didn't set off nothing. There must be a key in here somewhere or something. But yeah, I was wondering what, like, I guess it's a career thing, I suppose. Can't let pregnancy stop someone furthering their own career, but the pregnancy would be my anxiety inducer. Yeah, it's kind of
There's nothing I can do about it.
it's kind of weird.
Just need to be careful.
It sort of falls. The one thing I said this last time, but the one thing I remember someone writing about it. This was in the rock paper shotgun review of the game. How do you unlock this? How do you get out of here? Did I miss something in the cupboard? Is there a key in the cupboard or up here? Is it one of these things? Do I need to plier the door? I don't know. But that, yeah, it's sort of the hold down X to perform emotionally complex action. Hold down X to check the baby. It sort of feels reductive, but at the same time, you got to wonder how else how else you're supposed to pull off that kind of thing. I'm sure I should have been out of this room about 5 minutes ago. My brain is just not functioning. What do we have? Nothing in there. There was nothing in there either. Press X to act like a mum. Yeah, exactly. It's one of those things like you either sort of really detest how reductive it is, or you just sort of accept it as a necessary way to include the element without being needlessly complex and that kind of thing. But I am really curious to see how it will unfold. Who's got the key? That's what I want to know. Was I supposed to pick up a key before I came in here? Surely not. Or can I... Like, I can't... No, I can't jump back. I can't continue out. And there's nothing else in here. Wait, what do I have in my inventory? My bracelet. Now that... Yeah, only affects, like, solid walls. So I guess that's not going to affect the door. We don't seem to have a key, though I will fill our lantern up so we can hold more oil later. No bullet, that was what we needed, right? So no bullet for the tank. So that's what we actually need to find, as well as sulfur-based medicine from the arsenal. Okay. Am I just gonna blow the door open?
No. Oh. No, you can't keep doing this.
Hey, that was our first grenade. We're doing alright. Okay, is there anything else in here? Wasted that. What I do, yeah, I really like the matches and how if you run they go out more quickly. Hello? That was the sound of something, right? Maybe just the room collapsing, I guess. That's alright. I'm gonna go through this way. I'm not actually sure if there was anything else we needed in here, to be honest. Right.
Sulfur, saltpeter, charcoal.
Gotcha. Okay. I was supposed to see this to start with. She was oddly happy to see the sulfur, even though she had no idea what she was mixing. So sulfur powder, 8 cups of saltpeter, 1 cup of milled charcoal. If low on sulfur stock, check medicine supply for ointment of sulfur. Boil to extract. Not ideal. Makes powder mix unpredictable, but better than nothing. And we can't ask Corporal Kadir because I don't think Corporal Kadir will be around to assist us with a particular inquiry. And this looks like a bullet here that we need for the tank, so we need to load that bullet into the tank and just blow this gate to hell so we can get out of here. Oops, didn't mean to do that. So make me feel better temporarily, I suppose. Okay. If I light that up, that'll boil the water. Or boil the sulfur mixture. What else do we have in here? Charcoal. Not sure when I need to take it off boil. Guess we'll see. What was the other thing we needed? Sulfur, charcoal. What's in here? Guess we'll just rummage through all the cupboards, right? Oh, yeah, just grab that with my bare hands. Saltpeter, right, saltpeter. Thank you. Is that going to be anywhere else in this room? Because it didn't look like there was any. There was certainly nothing else in that room. I turned that room upside down. And I ripped that door open. Can I open any of these crates? Or maybe it's out here somewhere. Have a look-see. Certainly, yeah. I will be interested to see how the game handles its themes, and whether it successfully manages to nail any kind of horror. Because the first like couple of hours of the game have been pretty scripted. So I'm really hoping for some more emergent stuff soon. We'll see. Important: before you take the goods up to the main building, check Corporal Delacroix is available. The quartermaster must be present at all times to check the delivery. Do not leave boxes out in the sun. More matches always helpful. Do not use on metal oil blade after use. Okay, I'm guessing we're gonna have to do something with that too. It's kind of surprised me, you know. Yes, seeing, yeah, it's it feels, yeah, it feels really weird that the game has sort of taken this long to even get to an enemy. You know, I'm thinking of Yuki-onna, which I went back and played it in my off stream again, and I was sort of facing my fears of um, trying to get over the motion sickness, and I was doing pretty okay actually. And that game was it's just straight into it, right? You saw it on the stream that Yuki-onna, yeah, pulled no punches. You're just in there with this unpredictable banshee woman, uh, and you know, like that was sort of immediately scary. Just the lack of knowledge that you have about what's going to happen. Because yeah, like when I like horror movies can still be scary, but there's a real potent scare factor to emergent video game horror, and I find that if a video game's trying to emulate film horror, then it's definitely doing something wrong. And so far, it's sort of been doing that. Amnesia Rebirth, sadly, but the very last segment. So we're finally in the fort. I feel like the game is slightly improved from the random cave walking, but yeah, back to Callisto Protocol. God, such a disappointment. I will have to write a blog post or do a review of it, I think, in an effort to try and figure out exactly how it failed. Yeah. So can I put that stuff in there? Oh, that was a good. You sucked, Callisto. Yeah. What more needs to be said? Oh, do I have to burn this? Milled charcoal. Hello, Frankaloons. How you doing? Good to see you here. Just meandering around, trying to figure out exactly how to. Right, close this, and then we can mill it. I assume like this. And this is what a fine machine this is. Seemed pleased with that. Whoa. Yeah, whoa. Same kind of reaction. Can we put that in there? So now we just need to find the saltpeter, but as to where that is, I'm actually sure. I don't think the compass is going to tell me. The environmental, yeah, I do really like I didn't have to, but just this really nice sort of environmental detail of the bullet holes through this fencing I thought was really good. Really evocative, kind of apocalyptic kind of imagery. But can we? It's not a jumping on the bellows minigame, no. Okay. I guess, yeah. Where am I gonna find the saltpeter here? Should I be disconnecting this or trying to? No. Sort of no benefit to that, is there? Matches. I feel like it's got to be around here somewhere. Inspect this. Following items are off limits without authority of the captain. Medicines and strong spirits. The cage is not to be opened without a senior officer present. Oh, there was technically a senior officer present, so I think, you know, I was still obeying the rules. Saltpeter. It wants us to sneak back in here. Well, it turned the captain into dust, didn't it? Like, did that... Was there something in the canopic jar that happens to be all we needed? I assume not. And that was, yeah, that was the note that we read before. Curious. Very curious. Oh no, I didn't turn him to dust, just blew his leg off. Cool. Certainly, yeah, there wasn't anything else outside the other way. No. I'll light that up. Light that up too. Darn, I was really hoping it would be around there. Terrified of the dark, yeah. Just this instinctive, like, immediate reaction to stepping into darkness that triggers her night vision. But no, those extreme heights, the jump wasn't really a bother. I suppose she thought it might have been a bad idea. There was some concern about it, but she wasn't like, whoa, too rich for my blood, you know. My goodness. What would the saltpeter be in? Sort of feel like I would have found it already. I feel like I've opened everything in here. Is there anything under there? No. And now I'm just doing random searching. Something on this shelf here? That's the problem with having every item, interactable. You have no idea where exactly the item you're actually looking for is going to turn up. But that's okay. Don't remove tools. Like, I'm wondering what this station is actually meant to be. Wheel blade after use. I'm wondering if I'm meant to, like, crack something open. I don't know.
Well, that's the charcoal and the sulfur.
Yep. Is she gonna give me a hint if I check on Baby? Will Baby give me a hint?
Shouldn't have taken this risk.
No. No, you shouldn't have. Turned out to be demons everywhere, but you win some, you lose some, I suppose. So yeah, the question is where the saltpeter is now. Yeah, the baby just like, Mum, seriously, why did you even do this to me? This is such a stressful situation. Really freaking me out in here. It's like, how am I supposed to know where the saltpeter is, Mum? Can't even see. Yeah. So she's already... The thing that I wanted most, actually, so far is... Tezzy, the protagonist, already has a baby at home called Alice, I think. And I was wondering why... So the dad, Salim, we've seen him, he's dead. He's been killed by one of the monsters already. We stole his lantern, basically, to carry on. And I'm really wondering... like, why... Who's looking after Alice at this point? For a moment in the story, I thought the subtitle "Rebirth" would imply that she was that Tezzy was gonna sort of go through the birth of Alice again or whatever. But this seems to be a different child, as indicated by the the flashbacks that we've had so far. So yeah, I'm really unsure as to what's what's going to happen with that. She's fine, Future Cityscape says. Okay, yeah, I'll take your word for it. I'm trusting you on that. Hopefully the baby's fine at home in Paris, far away from Algeria, which is currently infested with eldritch monsters. At least as far as I can tell, I've only seen a half a glimpse of one so far, and a silhouette of another one. They're quite shy, all things considered, given that they killed all of these guys. You know, they're really holding off on Tezzy. They must really like me. You know, the baby is Salim. He's the mastermind behind this operation. Damn, this is all revenge for the lantern, right? Hello, how you doing, Yoviest? Hope all is well. Uh, what was that? No? All revenge for having a terrible mum who takes terrible risks. Yeah. Okay. Just gonna double check. Okay. Alright, I'm gonna leave and check the other building. Go back outside. Spent enough time in here. Wandering around in circles. Okay. I guess if we go back in here, we'll see the monster, I assume. Hearts of Iron 4, huh? That's that was the one I could never get into, strangely enough. I'm a Europa Universalis person, I think, for some reason. Can't really explain why. Let's go back in here. There's nothing that could possibly go wrong in the building with the monster in it. Start Europa, I will spend thousands of hours on it. I cannot afford that. Yeah, I think what appeals to me about it is just the breadth of options in that game. You can sort of go over that really long time period of 400 years and play any country that exists and set any goal. So yeah, you're totally right. It's a real time waster. I haven't played it very much at all recently. Stellaris to Hearts of Iron 4, nice. I've yeah, Stellaris is a funny one. Sort of, I feel like saltpeter in here.
That's what I was looking for.
Okay,
Now let's get out of here.
that was surprisingly easy. Is a monster gonna pop out? Okay. Oh, there he is. Hey, come back. Damn, I didn't even get a good look at him. He's so shy. Such a shy monster. Alright then. Fine. It's only been
Shh, little one.
over 2 hours of gameplay.
It was a
It's fine.
dream. Just a dream.
Was I saying about? Yeah, Stellaris is the one that I always lose interest in the end game. I don't think I've ever successfully seen a Stellaris one right through to the end. I suppose that happens with all Paradox games, though. Oh, a bird jump scare. Ooh. Hey, that's cool too. Actually, that's really nice way to play the game with zero other civilizations. So you're sort of building it like a city builder or something, a civilization builder, than a sort of competitive survival of the fittest kind of thing. Yeah, very interesting. Saltpeter. Okay.
Oh well, I've got something. And so far, I still have all my fingers. Head up and try it out, I guess.
Surprisingly fun, though. It gets a bit painful to manage everything later on. Right.
Who's that little one?
Kitty cat.
Kitty cat. Alright. How old is Alice exactly? That's actually. It's becoming less and less clear as I play more. Evidently, the amnesia she suffered in the plane crash was rather severe. Okay. So we've still, as yet, not encountered anything legitimately dangerous. I'm not sure how to feel about that. Where do I put the... Where do I put my tank shell to load it up? Yeah, we're still aiming at the thing. Do I need to load it from the outside? I guess so. Hop back out. Sorry to make you do that, Tezzy, again. I'm surely not just slotting it in there, am I? No. This was inside. Can't believe I haven't read about how to arm a World War I era tank. I wish I could, yeah. Wondering how Victoria 3 was so bad when Hearts of Iron 4 seems so polished. Watching tutorials on it, yeah. How was Victoria 3 so light on systems? I don't know why or how Paradox releases games uh, in the actual state that they do. Um, they got noticeably greedy. It feels like.
Got to load it first.
Yeah, yeah. The DLC makes a huge difference, but it's a shame that it's so costly for what it is. I know that they add stuff in free patches and now and then, but yeah, big shame. Here we go. That's more like it. That's really cool, actually. Just finding
Ready.
it's like a pixel hunt.
What could go wrong?
Nothing. Damn. Sorry, something could go wrong. My bad. Europa with DLC is like $400. Yeah, exactly. I don't know what they're thinking with that, and who's going to shell out for all of those.
Alice? Little one?
Something bad happened to Alice. Is that what I'm gathering here? Okay. Yeah, that's a great point. Yeah, Verse. The AI never really learns how to use DLC features. Yeah,
Fuck, that
they never
hurts.
properly implement that for the AI, so the player inevitably gets more and more of an advantage the
Oh,
more
little one.
DLCs they buy. It's a very strange system.
I felt them break. I felt them break, but they're not broken now. What the hell?
Okay.
Are you alright? I don't know how to tell. Shit.
Okay, baby's still alive. Yeah, that's another weird one. Slightly uncomfortable. Okay, can I turn the thing? Wheel it back and forth? No, it doesn't really help. Is there anything down here. The guys sort of phased through one of those levers. Driving levers, okay. Feels like I should be able to rotate this one way or the other, but it's not really letting me. I assume this locks it in. No, that unlocks it actually. My bad. Okay, should free us up to climb out.
I need to get out of here.
Okay. Maybe this is where the spooks start. I don't know. What have we got here? It's meant to drain the water out? Yes. Yeah, locked. Of course. Drain some water out. Push this out of the way. Damn. Guess we've got to drain more water. I'll open this grate here. Which way do I have to turn it? To the right here. Sorry, the mouse control is really quite bad. Keep going to the right. There we go. Okay. That'll take some getting used to. Down we go. Having just had a tank land on us, down we go. Damn, there's a segment. I was hoping actually that would turn into more of a segment there.
What?
Like in the Lost in Vivo, has a very good segment in those tunnels.
That was you. I can feel you. I felt you move. Hello. Hello, my little one. I hope you're not hurt. Don't you worry. We'll get you home.
I think you can really. Okay, that's good to know. Whenever your baby kicks, you can check in or not to reduce your fear. I think it would be really interesting to see if there are any studies out there of paradox games and how they relate to those ideas of traditional power structures and colonialism, and sort of how those are represented differently in each one of their games and each one of their systems. It would certainly, it'd be an interesting study. If we are to investigate further, then we will need to build a scaffold. We will need wood and a good length of rope. I think there is some break in the walls deep below. The water level used to be much higher, and we can see light shining through the water. Okay. I don't know why she doesn't want to take any of these torches with her or anything, but okay. I guess we'll drag these out of the way. Yeah. They shoot themselves in the foot, I think. I'm really impressed with this game. So yeah, like it recognizes that she's pulling a heavy object, and so it gets the character to exclaim something. I really like that. Like that a lot. It's interesting, yeah, how easy it is to get sucked into their systems. I know it's like a lot of people make that kind of reductive joke, right? That they're like map painting simulators, map painting games, or whatever. But there's something more to it than that. Obviously, something that appeals to us as video game players. Something really simple, I think. Guess it's the kind of, if we want to go a step further, it's like cookie clickers or whatever, you know, like truly reductive. What is a video game even? What does it mean to be entertained? Is it fine if we're just watching, numbers go up, or do we want something else out of our entertainment? And I think the answer is that sometimes human beings are fine with watching some numbers go up, which I find very interesting. I'm certainly, I'm I'm not as into Paradox games as I used to be, just because I don't have the time to spare anymore. Have to make the decision to actually focus on my backlog rather than bury myself under another 200-hour strategy game. Although that idea still does appeal to me occasionally, it's no longer feasible. I think I have too little time to be doing that, indulging that. But I'm glad to hear that you guys are still enjoying it. It is apparent from the writings of Usim of the intent of these newcomers came to us from a far place with their thoughts set on conquest. They made us into their servants, their slaves, their prey, their fodder. Us who may also be translated as crop. Okay, so you're saying that the it like reduces, scales down the focus, Yovios? Is that what you mean? Like more in terms of internal management, that kind of thing? Is that the purpose of these mods? Their origins are unclear, but it is highly likely that this was another incursion from the lands around the Nile, even further into Persia. Okay. The queen had no king. Many princes came to court her, but none brought her joy. She was sad because she wanted a child. She asked her wise people to help, but they said, "Why do you want a child? We are all your children. I must have a baby," she said, "because I cannot be queen forever and someone must be queen after me." "Nonsense," said the wise people. "We will brew you a magic potion and then you will live forever. You will always be our queen." That is what they did. Sometimes when she was alone, the queen cried, because although she... Okay, interesting. Nothing follows on that note. But that's obviously got to have some symbolic relevance to what Tassie's going through. She's pregnant, but the people don't want her to be. Maybe. Check on it to reduce my fear. Okay.
I can hold on. I swear.
Cool. Doing alright, Tassie. You're fine. You can hear something skittering around in the darkness. Got 2 matches left. Gonna quickly meander our way down. I assume that's where we need to go. That's where that blue spirit kind of went. I'll rotate this. Oh, is that indicator on the side of the lantern? I don't think I paid attention to that last time. That's actually showing how much fuel I have left. Oh, a monster! Find a place to hide. Put the lantern away. Put it away. Where is... Okay. That was first monster encounter? First legitimate enemy? I guess. That was kind of anticlimactic. Okay. Maybe you'll come up behind me and get me right now. Former adds tons of internal management and forces you to deal with the various elites of your country, like the nobles, clergy, bureaucracy, and traders. So you could technically attack Egypt as the Ottomans. Oh, right. And you'd probably have better results if you sort of did some internal stuff first. That sounds quite cool, actually. I've not bothered to mod those games simply because I knew that I'd just spend more time that I can't afford to spend playing them. But maybe one day, if I ever find some free time again, to do a round, I say, as though it doesn't take hours and hours and hours. But it could be cool. Could be cool to try that and mix it up a wee bit. Okay. Yeah, the famous last statement of any wargame, exactly. At the cost of your game running painfully slow? Oh, that sounds about right. So if I line... Wait, okay, take it back. Take it back all the way to the far end. Cool. Then can we raise it? Not really, it's stuck. Okay. Not entirely sure I understand what the game wants me to do yet, but... Ah, am I supposed to put it in the middle? Yeah, no, it's just sort of padded along awkwardly. I wasn't even sure how I was supposed to respond to it, to be honest. It emerged and it definitely saw me, but then it like went to squat in the corner for a minute while I just like bumbled around looking for a hiding spot. Yeah, and Until Dawn Wendigo is exactly what it looked like, but at least they posed a threat even on their first viewing of them. I'm not really sure what that enemy was supposed to be doing or emphasizing in this game. There was no like beyond like hide in a corner and the enemy won't be able to see you. Yeah, it's about all I got. Is this still something stuck? Is that? Okay, so if we move this back over to the side. I also definitely did that with love the management stuff. And nothing wrong with a good bit of warmongering every now and then, and in a video game, of course. Warmongering in real life should be strongly disencouraged. There's obviously something I am missing. So we want to open both of these up, but the lower one is stuck. I can't raise it myself. And if I jump onto the I assume I'm not allowed to jump down there. Boo. That a boo to the warmongering statement, is it? Grey Toad, is it? We want to avoid the warmongering. We want to send a positive message to the people. I'll light some of these torches up. Thanks, I was actually getting thirsty. Okay. There's no hint. No fighting in the war room, yeah. How ironic. Can reduce the...
The darkness. It feels like I'm losing control.
That's a good idea, I like that. Can I just move it there. Maybe I can jump from platform to platform. Yeah, okay. I'm not exactly sure what the point of the third lever was, just to throw me off, I guess. Ah, here we go, yeah. I liked, what I was saying before, if anyone's played Lost in Vivo, I really liked those sections in the tunnels because they were so claustrophobic, so effective. Dead end? Something in there. What is that? A large flask of oil. Okay. Gonna use the old lantern then. But yeah, Lost in Vivo is really one of the supreme indie horror games that I played last year. It was legitimately frightening, which was a welcome surprise because I was a bit worried that it wouldn't be. I see. So now I'm supposed to find a way to... Now I'm supposed to have raised it up, I guess. She does seem to have some sense of vertigo when she looks down, actually, which is interesting. Okay, so far I like the attention to detail that this game actually has, but I'm just a bit weirded out by the the lack of horror content, considering it's a follow-up to the Dark Descent, which I remember being actually properly frightening. Uh, it's just kind of weird that they're pulling their punches. I don't know. Is that the best way to describe it? Ah, I see. I gotta clear the thing down there because there's another dead soldier. Cool. I'm not exactly sure how he ended up like that. That lantern goes down so fast too. I'm just glad there's a lot of lantern oil left lying around. But I imagine if there's a section that's actually too dark, I'm not going to be able to see or do anything. Okay, move it over there. Lift it. Oh, I've got to lift it. Move it over just a little bit more. Then lift it up. No? I assumed it would be, I have to lock it in. I have to lock it in perfectly. Is that where I'm supposed to lock it in? No. It's slightly obtuse. That looks like it should go up there, right? Too hard on the Lovecraftian idea of never seeing the enemy. Yeah, it's like there's a really fine line, right? Because you don't want to just put your enemy front and center all the time, because then they're definitely not scary. But if you don't see them at all, or there's actually no tension being built up, then what is the point, indeed? Why can't it lift up? That's what I don't understand here. Do I have to close these first and then lift it up? Yes. Okay, I get it now. Just not paying any attention. And I've got to lift it up all the way, do I, for it to lock in place? Is that what it wants me to do? Gotta lift this up, lock these platforms into place. Got it. Took me long enough. Cool. Problem solved. It definitely won't break anything. Not exactly sure what the system is supposed to do anyway. What it's actually for, what it's actually designed for. Just seems like a puzzle. Seems like a puzzle logic kind of thing, but I really don't know. So now we go back up here where we weren't supposed to go before. So yeah, the monsters clearly didn't pull any of their punches with the soldiers. That's what I don't get. They're, straight after the soldiers, killed them all in horrible, horrible ways, apparently. Killed them despite the fact that they had tanks and cannons and rifles. But no, they're willing to hold off on Tezzy, apparently. Yeah, the most frightening thing we've experienced so far has been the how often platforms and stuff will collapse just after she steps off of them. I mean, in most senses, she's very unlucky, but in that sense, quite remarkably lucky. Light these bits up. Making sure not to go too fast. There we go. Lift this up. Maybe we're going to go into the... sort of an indicator that the Eldritch world has emerged. Or is coming into our world, into Algeria. Matches, we needed those. And the game is whispering something in my ears when she's experiencing things in the dark, but hello? Can I just kite him? Can I kite him around here? No? You think I can smell you? We're just gonna let it come through the door. Every monster. Remarkably stupid. Now, where do I go now? Just through here? Get our wee match out. See how we go. Yeah, I hear you. Get to you in a minute.
We'll be safe.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Okay, and I assume we've got a limited amount of time to hold our breath. Get our breath back, go underwater again. Okay. Some human bones. I guess we didn't need to do that. Got an achievement for it called Can Opener, apparently. Guess there was an optional little quote-unquote scare. We'll see, see what's coming up around the bend, I suppose. Some monster in there. Can we check on the baby to feel better again? Bend. Hi? Where do I go? No, this way, okay. I can't move any faster. Back under we go. It's like some Olympic level training here. Can I hop up or is he still... Oh no. What is happening? I don't actually know what's happening. What happened then? I tried to slam the door closed, but the water washed me away. Is that what happened? Okay. Well, we're fine, I guess. I guess the creature can't follow us all the way down here. It's a shame. It's really not coming off as scary. And the Dark Descent, like, that was amazingly, like, frightening throughout. Like, from the beginning, I thought it did a wonderful job of atmosphere and setting, and so far the best thing that Rebirth's got going for it is,
What? Who are you? What do you want?
okay, gotta... So far, yeah, like, I'm a really big fan of the setting and the environmental, like, the actual design. Like, it's all really gorgeous, and they must have put so much work in. But I'm just, yeah, I'm not sure what's happened to the monsters. Oh, more swimming. Thoughts so far from the audience about what's happened? The first proper monster chase.
Well done, precious one.
This is the worst mother ever. Okay, so we need to we'll have a list of mothers in games that I've streamed, and so far, sadly, sorry Tazzy, you're at the bottom. I'm sorry. And Alice is obviously much older than we thought she was. Alright, where's this? Nothing to say about the fleshless or the weird monster? Oh, okay, yeah, understandably wounded.
Little one?
And check on the baby.
No, I'm sorry. Please be okay.
Come on, baby, pull through. I'm rooting for you, baby. Rooting for Tazzy too. I actually kind of like her as a character. I guess we'll see what her motivations are and how she ends up. But yes, like the environment, like amazing. baby's got to pull itself up by its bootstraps in this one. Yeah.
Who are you? What do you want?
Is it gonna be? I don't know. Is it gonna be some version of her? Or is it gonna be some version of Alice? Is that what the blue lady is? There was like a reference to the blue lady in a note or something. Yeah, monster, not scary. Yeah, it really speaks to the power of environmental design and sound design
Came this way.
when just a woman,
Stay with me, Hank.
just a tall woman in an abandoned Japanese bathhouse can provide a more efficient jump scare than a fleshless monster creeping through like an ancient Algerian fort with corpses sort of strewn all around and that kind of thing. Just it's really remarkable. I'm gonna have to dissect this. I think is this one of these compass doors? Looks like one of these compass doors, but it's not. I guess. Okay. It's yeah. The monster is somehow, I think, the monster is too choreographed. I think is the main problem. The thing that gets me about emergent horror is when it doesn't play this really loud.
Don't go near it.
I'll let them speak.
I think she's trying to help us.
Oh my god, oh my god, oh my god. My god. It's a fucking devil is what it is.
Okay, that's pretty cool. I like that illustration. But yeah, the thing that you notice inevitably about Yuki-onna and like those other sort of puppet combo chillers art games that function like that is that the game gives you one split second to register that you've seen the monster, but the noise doesn't play. Um, and then the noise will play. Then it will confront you, but it gives you this one moment, which is really crucial to sort of for your brain to really start freaking itself out, and then it shifts into jump scare mode. And it doesn't have to be a long amount of time, but playing an audio cue before or as a monster arrives actually defeats the purpose of surprise. Because I know when I was playing Yuki-onna offline again, there was a horrible moment where I saw her just standing there out in the open, and I was like, "Oh, that's fine." And then so I left her because she hadn't spotted me, and then I went inside and I was searching inside a room, and then all of a sudden, I sort of out of the corner of my eye, you just see her like move past the doorway, and then I'm like, oh, she's moved past. It's fine. And then the screaming just starts, and you just sort of, whoa, you freak out. You really jump. Yeah, puppet combo, always so effective because they understand the rhythm of a jump scare and how it should actually work. Whereas sadly, so far this game is not offering that, despite the absolutely gorgeous scenery and the opportunity to travel to this really interesting locale. Just not pulling it off so far. It's too obvious about its scares. Too eager to sort of show off its monster while also not putting you in any actual danger 99% of the
4th
time.
March, 1937. I am Tezzy Trianon. I survived the crash of the plane Cassandra.
So I
With
wrote
me
this.
are Hank Mitchell, Yasmin Shabani, Dr. Anton Metzier, Leon de Vries, and Malik Tamboura. My husband Salim and others are in a cave near the crash and need help. Some have died. Richard Fairchild could not handle what we saw here. He ran. Alex Sterling has gone after him. We can't wait. We must do something that is utter insanity. Hank Mitchell, our leader and my friend, was badly wounded by a creature in the fort. Yasmin calls it a ghoul. A flesh-eating monster from desert legends. She may be right. Hank is losing blood fast, and he will die. There is no time to get to help. There is a shrine here, to a local spirit. This will sound like madness. She appeared to us. A figure of glowing light. She spoke to us. She offered healing and to save us from the desert. And I agreed. She led us to an amulet, hidden here in the shrine. I took it. Now there is a shimmering doorway in the rock. I swear it wasn't there before. If we step through, Hank might survive. He is so pale.
Might live. It might live, not survive. You're paraphrasing yourself.
I promise. I will return to you.
Okay, so she, from what I'm gathering, so she stepped through this portal, and whatever happens on the other side triggers her amnesia, and then she wakes up back in the plane. Or something.
This is insane.
Okay, I'm just going to double check that this isn't actually a thing. Maybe that didn't trigger because I was standing in the wrong place. Just going to double check, because it really looks like it should be one.
Nothing.
Yeah, okay.
I guess this is closed somehow. Where did she take us?
Yeah, would have been nice to know. Can I go for a swim? How's the baby doing?
I'm sorry, my love. Just let me know you're all right.
Okay. Nothing of any interest there. Swimming achieved. Sadly, it wasn't an actual achievement. I was kind of hoping it was. Looking in the fountain in the last stream was an achievement for some reason. Echoing Narcissus or something?
Tassie? Hello?
Yes, I'm here, Doctor. Oh, it's so good to hear your voice.
Ah, you are still... Well, where are you?
Oh, definitely untrustworthy, that reaction, right?
Here before. What happened to us? I just read something I wrote. There's a spirit, a glowing spirit. I've seen her.
I will explain it all, Tassie. Come to the village. We have lit a beacon in the tower. Look for the smoke.
Thank you. Doctor, you talked about my blackouts. I have these marks on my skin, and I keep losing control.
I'm alive. Oh, well, that's... What a surprise. Well, I'm glad to hear that, yeah.
I do not know for certain. We need diagnostic implements, reference books, civilization. Remember, Tassie, control yourself. Avoid fear. Avoid anger at all costs. I have to go. Yasmin, she needs me.
Doctor!
What about me? I'm all alone out here. Well, that's fine then. Just hang up on me. But yeah, seems slightly suspect.
There's the smoke.
Okay. Yeah, desert setting, so cool. Shame, you could do a really good... I'm sure you could do a really great game set in the middle of the desert.
Little one. A village. People.
Like an entourage of people slowly getting picked off as they try and trek through the desert.
We'll go walking in the Luxembourg Gardens. I'll show you where Alice used to play.
Okay, so something... Right.
Be okay, little one. Please be okay.
So Alice is not okay. So Alice is presumably passed on. Okay. Noir Automata's desert. Yeah. Yeah, I think it really is the openness of the desert, and I think that would really suit... It would really suit a horror game just for this really sparse, open area where you know that you're not safe
When we get to the village, you can meet the doctor.
from any direction.
And
There's a really...
she's from Algiers. She's nice. And we'll figure out what's wrong with me.
There's a really curious
All will be
game, which I wrote about on my blog,
All will be well.
last year, and it's called Lugaroo HD, and it's a very curious game. You can get it on Steam. It's normally very cheap, but it's about a martial art bunny rabbit, um, and it's needlessly edgy. It's almost comically edgy at points. It tries to lean too hard into a mature story when it should be, you know, trying for a more tongue in cheek angle, but in some way it really works. And the focus of my article was on what really does work is the desert area, or the sort of the surreal quality of the game. It's a cobbled together game. Cobbled together is probably the best way to describe it.
Don't like this.
But you were fine with the monster before. But this is too much. Um, it was like it to to represent to represent rocks. Uh, Lugaroo just had large stone slabs inexplicably built into the. You read that article a week ago. Isn't that the same game that later became Overgrowth? Yes, it is. It is the same game.
No,
I've not played much of Overgrowth.
not now. Fuck. No.
So close, yet so far. No. But I thought it lost some of the weird, surreal charm that Lugaroo had. Yes, how in/convenient.
We were so close. What the hell is this place now?
Some ancient tomb. Can we use? Can't summon ourselves back up, but we've got a funny-looking statue. Doesn't quite look human. Okay. But yeah, if you've not played Lugaroo and you're interested in a simulation of martial arts that actually feels strangely weighty and dynamic, then that is absolutely the game for you. And on top of that, you get to enjoy this really surreal imagery. Okay, so we're in alien land again. Green sun. Reading your article on Lugaroo reminded me of how I felt playing the MMO from the Sonic Dreams collection, or whatever it was. It was called perfectly. Right, yeah. You might have to explain some more about that one, but I assume it's part of like existing in this kind of liminal digital space, right? Like, nothing quite seems to fit together perfectly,
Know where we are. But at least you're still with me.
yet it's still somehow representative of a form of reality. There is a game that I want to play on stream at some point that simulates that to a T, and I think you guys especially would find it really interesting. I might see if I can play it either next week or in a couple of days' time. We'll see whether I feel like playing more of this or do something more experimental. A parody game of sorts, intentionally very unfinished. It gives that same vibe, except intentionally. Right.
Either the well was
That's.
very deep,
I might have
or she
to
fell very
have a look
slowly,
at that.
for she had plenty of time as she went
Sonic
along
Dreams
the path
MMO. Okay.
and to wonder what was going to happen next.
So right, and in this game, the monkey is a symbol of everything she's lost, I suppose. But there's a game. I can't remember what the game was, or exactly where you'd find the video, but
Every step we take it.
there's a video I watched, and someone was exploring this old MMO space for whatever reason, just out of curiosity, and those spaces really are terribly sort of haunted by just the absence of human beings. But I was very impressed that someone had sort of caught wind of the fact that someone was doing this and hopped on, fooling the person who was making the video into thinking that they were an NPC and they were following them around. But then they started sort of dropping hints. They knew who was playing, and they wanted out of the simulation or something. I thought it was a layered and really clever exploration of MMO space, and a really nice prank to play on the YouTube. I can't remember. It was the one from the Vine Source stream. That's what I was thinking of. It's been a long time since I watched it, but I really enjoyed it. I thought it was such a cool idea to explore a dead space in a video game, literally a dead space, um, and then for someone to invade that space and make it like deliberately unsafe, but not to an extreme, but to really freak the player out. It's really interesting how empty spaces can quickly become terrifying. That person even ended up doing an AMA on that streamer subreddit later on, if I recall correctly. Oh, I have to check that out. I don't think I actually read that. That would be really cool to know. I think I did like the barest of sort of extra readings around it, which I think was probably just in the comment section of the video. But it was an absolutely, yeah, it was an awesome. I highly recommend to watch that. What have we got here? Some kind of alien language. Definitely can't read that. But it's like holographic as well. So digitally, it's like Stone Age kind of iPad tablet thingies, I guess. And I assume these ones are all the same, except they're blue.
What the hell? I've seen that before somewhere. The woman from the Oasis.
Interesting. Okay. Slightly worried about, I guess, the coloring of the legs and feet just happens to be the same as flesh, but looks quite strange. What is that? We've got a couple of circles. Don't seem to indicate anything. Study of anatomy. Human anatomy, we presume, but we don't know. And that's the face that appears on the loading screen, so that has either some significance or the developers just really liked that image. But yeah, I find, yeah, examining the effect of human absence on a space to be really, really interesting. It's probably what future research is going to focus on. I'll let this play.
A day should not matter, but each day feels like waste. There is so much to do. Tamaku tells me that now, with Vitae, I have forever. But the people who depend on me do not. There is always something. Invasion, rivalry, sickness, penury. I have my duty. Perhaps I should end these sessions. Now they've found a way to stabilize the disease. I should be ecstatic. I should accept my fate and move on. It is such a faint hope that they can find any way to heal me. That they can find any way to grant my dearest wish. Now you are eternal, says Tamaku. Now you need no air. None of them understand.
Someone in your writing class wrote on their essay on exactly that. The absence of human beings on space. Was it real space or virtual space? Out of curiosity.
Just for me.
It would be, yeah. Sad it's not published, but because it sounds interesting. I always like to read that kind of stuff. Other people's thoughts on the matter. Nice. Yeah, that's really cool. That's the kind of research, yeah, I'm interested in. Always looking for readings on that. All good if it's not published, but it is a really interesting and important field, I think, especially when you're considering the importance of archiving artworks as digital media rots and dies in many instances. I wonder what the heck will happen when the day inevitably comes when they're like, well, the internet, we're moving on to a new internet, you know. Let's just restart this whole internet business, and whether the old internet would sort of survive underneath that or not, I don't know. But it would be really interesting to see what happens in that space, you know. I see. So I can activate this door over here. Gotcha. So So I'll need to remember that. But yeah, what will happen to the countless number of artworks that just sort of fade out and die? We don't think nearly enough about preservation, about anything really, as human beings. We're very, as a species, we're not great at it, especially in regards to artworks, and especially digital artworks, because people think of them as really impermanent things, but they shouldn't be impermanent. I guess it's tricky because more and more they no longer have a physical presence, so you can't even catalog them in that way. Crystal ball.
Like it's waking up.
Okay. Orb. Strange orb. Alright. Here's one of our power conduit thingies. It's an interesting system they have. So that's a power thing. Can I do anything with these? Right. I assume I'll need to find a code or something. I'll have a look around. Okay. Game's atmosphere is so confusing, like Warhammer Tomb Kings meets Soma. I mean, the Soma influence makes sense because it's frictional, but it's, yeah, I don't know. I prefer the desert. Like the desert is a much more effective locale. I don't know, than this old like weird alien building. It's cool, but it doesn't really feel. I don't feel grounded in the setting when I'm here, which is a problem because being grounded in the environment before was one of the only things I'm really enjoying about it so far. I don't know. It's weird. Okay. Oh, put the orb in this? Looks like an orb receptacle if I've ever seen one. Okay. I feel like if I was playing this, too confused to be scared, if that makes sense. Yeah, there's nothing. It's really hard to find anything to base yourself off of in this game. So I need the amulet. But what for? Was I supposed to put the orb in now? Something in this general direction, apparently. Yeah, it's bizarre. No hint, right, as to what that actually means. Like, yeah, those just rotate them. Or is there something... What are these? Is that relevant? No. What if I... Oh, okay, we need... Right. So we need to find power conduits for this, what I assume is a little teleportation chamber. Was I supposed to bring this in here is the question. Is that doing something that it should be or shouldn't be? My goodness. Take the orb back and see what happens when we... If we take this out here, like, what is that? Does that do anything? What if we bring it around here? Something. It does do something. Okay. I guess I was supposed to do that? It didn't feel like I was supposed to be honest. What's a cool?
What is this?
It's a really cool vista, but It feels decidedly disconnected from what I was just going through 20 minutes ago. Oh, is this... Right, is this our spirit? The spirit who's following us is ruling forever on her throne here? I assume?
There was a white sun at the great gate. It tore the air and the land. A corruption of living flesh crawls from the hole in the world and turns all to ash and rust. The control stones have turned against my kindred, shaping them into floating wraiths of nightmare. The city falls. I am to blame. My companions took my formula, some to use it to destroy the Vitae at the gate, others to infect the Vitae pipelines and end the suffering. The gate has indeed fallen, but catastrophically, unleashing energies beyond belief. Still the factories scream. We have failed, in the worst of ways. It is my duty to stay at my post, to see if I can find means to end it. I have no choice but to use the Vitae. An ocean holds the great Empress to life, so a meager portion will suffice for me.
Okay.
If any find this record, know that I was the traitor Kita. Alchemist, apprentice to Tamako. Forgive us our folly.
Okay. It's just a lot going on. I feel like I should have replayed The Dark Descent, because it's been who knows how long since I played that. And I remember basically nothing from it. I assume this is all meant to connect in there. Am I supposed to open this? I feel like if I open this, you're gonna die. Like, you're kind of relying on that breathing thing, right? And you've been pretty helpful so far. I'm gonna look around for another minute. Okay. Oh, now put that back. I remember some of the Dark Descent. This seems wildly different. I don't know. I read that theoretically this was meant to continue or answer some questions about, I guess, about the expedition and where the monsters come from and that kind of thing. But I thought that was all like relatively contained in the Dark Descent from memory. Like, it's been so long. Like, I don't...
Tamaku's early experiments with the orbs summoned an entity, a creature, that scarred the world with its passing and wreaked utter destruction.
yeah, I'm glad it's not just
the scar
me.
took
Like,
the form of living, pulsating flesh. I have studied the orb, and I now know why the scars appear. I believe I can make use of the same perturbation to achieve our own ends.
obviously I have to, yeah. I guess I should just play through the Dark Descent again, honestly. But I'm sort of struggling to, like, yeah. How does this connect to, yeah, making the bullet, and what about my baby?
So glad you're all right.
Like, we're in this totally alien landscape, which I guess has been destroyed by otherworldly invaders or something, is what I'm getting. And there was this alchemist who stuffed it all up, and the Empress is, like, helping us. She's like an alien woman spirit person. It all's just... At once... I don't know if it's just me, but at once it feels like it's explaining too much and not explaining anything. Like, we've sort of... I would have been fine if the Empress was just hinted to be alien. Why do we need to come here and, like, have all of this stuff laid out to us, like, in full? Saying a lot of nothing is another really great way of putting it. Yeah, exactly. I guess I have to do this, right? Do I have to kill you? Feels like a jerk move, but I need two things. There's one more thing over here, right? Was this...
It has taken me many rises in the gaps between my work for Tamako, but finally it is done. I have a formula which is in sympathy with the pulse of the orb. I can provoke the symptoms of the red flesh, and with it will come destruction, channeled through the Vitae network. This might be the answer we seek.
It's one of those really frustrating moments where it's like the developers have made this cool world, and they got this cool underlying premise, like alien world, invasion from an alien world, and that alien world was itself like destroyed by this unknown entity, and maybe you get glimpses of this alien world, and like that bit where you're walking through and you see this giant like crumbled statue and this sort of this dead explorer who can only hypothesize as to what world he's stumbled across. Like that's awesome, but this, yeah, you just sort of like, oh, welcome to this place. Here you go. I'm sure you figured it all out. You'll be right at home. Give you a pat on the back, send you on your way. I'll take this. You didn't need that, did you? Or was that the Empress, or was that the alchemist guy? Actually, I don't know. Regardless, I'm sure he didn't mind. I'm sure they didn't mind. Yep. Yeah, what impresses me most about this game definitely is the graphical quality. Like, say what you will about how incoherent the story is right now. This is a really, really cool landscape, really cool imagery. But I'm not playing the same game that I was an hour ago, I swear. Okay. So plug our two Leyden jars, I guess, and plug them in. Put the orb back, I assume.
Another rift. That could be our way out.
Does she mean that thing? Okay. Yeah, common theme in modern, big budget, in particular horror games. Good visual storytelling with a nonsensical plot, yeah. I really hope that the next Amnesia game is better. It looked to be with a greater focus on emergent horror and surviving against one consistent enemy, and you actually had a firearm and that kind of thing. The bunker, admittedly, all we have is a trailer, I think, so far, a little teaser trailer. But that, even just the premise of that appealed to me on a greater level than whatever's going on here. And the idea of like being a pregnant woman in a horrific situation in the middle of a desert, like, really good premise for horror, but I just don't know what's going on, you know? Like, why not stick with that as the primary focus? Why try and include your Eldritch lore stuff in here? Am I trying to... Okay. There wasn't really any hint, was there, anywhere? No. Do I have to find 3 that are next to each other? I don't think there's one like that. Oh! Don't know what I did, but promising. Okay. Can I get in? No. Public combo games is also pregnant woman in danger. Right. Night Ripper, right? Yeah, it's I don't. So far, yeah, you're not missing out on a great foundational horror experience. I don't think if you're not playing this. Multiple. Oh, the one you were thinking, Bloodwash, right? That was Right, that was published by Puppet Combo. I was thinking of I think it's called Night Ripper. Although maybe you weren't pregnant in that one. Actually, maybe it was just a misogynistic killer. I can't remember. It's been a while since I played that one too. But that was very effective, very scary, I remember. Oh, what am I? I've got it in the right place, right? It's doing what I want it to do. What am I supposed to be sending through now? What if I move it? So remembering, no, it's stuck. So yeah, where it needs to be. Open that back up. That turns our thingy off. And if we lock it back in, is there something I? Yeah, the Dark Descents puzzles did tell you more. I 100% agree. Yeah. I really am like, was it anyone else's first instinct? Yeah, Bloodwash was published under the Puppet Combos label, Torture Star. They make quite a few. Well, they publish quite a few things now, actually. And to my knowledge, all of them are basically worth checking out. I have a review I was working on for one of the Torture Star games, so hopefully I can publish that before the end of the month on YouTube. And we can see what YouTube reviewing actually looks like. Something different than a video essay and something different than a stream. Might as well try everything this year and see what works for me. What the? Did anyone else think you'd like have to ball yourself up in here and like teleport yourself or something through the? Like I genuinely don't. Like that's for over there. That'll take us back to Earth, I think. But as for what this is supposed to do, oh, am I okay? Maybe. Do you think I got to send the power source through? I'll try that. Take the orb back, and I'll send that little power source I left out through. I'll try that. I assume doing that will activate the door on the other side. I'm guessing that's the purpose of the puzzle. But it's all quite esoteric. So put the orb back on the thing. Yes, okay. I did get it then. Alright.
A tower. Smoke. That's the town. And the doctor. But how can that be?
No, I remember it's not. What? What is happening? Ow! What the?
Got to get out of here.
Yep, no worries. I got out of there alright. I got out in a confused state, but okay. Back to another Parisian hallucination, I assume. I like that effect, that's cool. Baby is definitely fine, exactly. What could go wrong? I like that effect when you like look away, like when it's out of your view. It's sort of the object's double. That's quite nice. Alice, where you at? Hi. Got your monkey?
What are you doing, little one?
1 and 1.
Yes. But what is 1 and 1?
Yeah, where's Eldridge?
Alice?
Alice can't play. Alice can't play.
Okay. Yeah, the hazmat soldier man would just be like, fuck this, I'm out of here. I'm out of here. And the baby grows again in the distance, I assume? Is that what's gonna happen? Yep. We've progressed to the next stage of our pregnancy. That's how pregnancy works. You just have a dream. Like, cryptic dream. This must mean I've advanced.
Alice! Salim! Salim, quickly!
What is happening? The imagery, like they put whoever was behind the artwork and the design. Big fan of Sky Baby, Sam. I'm also a big fan of Sky Baby, but I don't like the work that was put into that and into just the general like animations and the voice acting.
No.
That's all really
So
cool.
much bigger. This can't be real. Wake up. Wake up, Tessie.
But it's all in service to something that's just
God.
really confused.
God, Mother Mary. What am I going to do? Come on. Come on. Pull yourself together.
Also, I've been playing for roughly 4 hours, and I've had approximately one proper monster encounter.
Shit. I'm so heavy. This feels like 6 months.
To her credit, she's trying to go home.
God.
She's doing her best at that. I don't know why she ever wanted to come out here to Algeria in the first place. To be honest, that's still not quite clear to me, but
This really isn't a dream.
sadly not. Eldridge took the boat already. She's on her own, yeah. That bastard. Could have, damn. Rusty Lake games. I have. I think I own one of them. I don't actually think I've played it. Or I've played a bit of it, and I never finished it. It was one of those ones I'm like, damn, this looks really cool. I played it for a wee bit, and I was like, damn, this is really cool. But sadly, I haven't been able to progress with it. But that's another one I should play. Could play that on stream, I suppose, as well. Can we go through here? No, but we can see the ladder. Guess we can't go through there because now we've got a bigger baby to worry about. 6 months pregnant baby.
Believe this. What if I get even bigger?
This really looked like something that I could smash, you know? But I know you can if you throw it, I see. I'm glad my initial impressions were correct. Okay.
Careful. Careful. This is not so easy anymore.
What the? Yeah, okay. I'll have to jump back into those as well. So many things to play. Trying to manage my backlog responsibly here. At least I'm now actually playing Amnesia Rebirth, so I'll be able to tick that off at the end of this. And so at least that's finished. I've accumulated a lot of lamp oil. And some matches.
Oh, that smell. It's getting stronger.
Well, now we're back in alien land. Can we go? Oh. Thank you. I'm glad you're enjoying that. The resurgence. This close to finding an old Sumerian king. I would have been so famous. Well, I remember this from the Dark Descent. But no, yeah, I'm glad I've found the... What is happening? I'm glad I found the inspiration to keep writing some more. I'm hoping to keep up this pace because I have written a lot of stuff over the last week, and I'm really enjoying it. And I'm also trying to finish off a video essay which is very close to completion. So hopefully I'll be able to record that this weekend. Lots of cool stuff I'm working on. Always lots of cool stuff I'm working on. But yeah, I'm very glad that I've got the opportunity. Yeah, new content. It is it's I'm going at a much better pace than I was in previous years. I think. Well, partially because of you guys. It's really nice to have a recurring audience. It just lets me know that there's an interest in what I'm doing, and that I'm not yelling into the void, you know. What? I'm not afraid of red jelly. Ooh. So scary.
Shit!
Oh my god. Run, run, run. Enemy number 2 got written out of the script. The environment design was so good, but so expensive that they just had to cut all the other enemies. There was just that one guy in red jelly. Unlucky again. Every bit of environment she walks onto breaks. Come on, Tezzy. Come on, baby. I would not be surprised. The state of the modern video game industry. Someone's like, "No, I want more for my role," and they're like, "No, we can just replace you with a red jelly." Players will still find that scary, won't they? Yeah, hell yeah, they will. Yeah, who wouldn't? And yeah, the Wendigo borrowed from Until Dawn, but not even an effective Wendigo. He's not even quick, not scary. My goodness.
Oh, Christ.
Where am I now? Am I in... I assume I'm still in Alien World then. Or I'm back in Alien... I don't know what's happening. Exactly. Red Jelly was scary. And it must mean that, yeah, it's still scary with no context. Just like Silent Hill Homecoming, throwing Pyramid Head in your face for that cameo scene. Terrible. Except I think they tried to get away with calling him the Boogeyman or something. So maybe in this game it's red jelly, but in the other one it was red jam. I don't know. Okay, that's not working. What they're going for here is a kind of back hall.
It's the town again, little one. See? It's another gateway, I think. A portal. Like in that laboratory, but big enough for us. Look, little one. I think this is a way out of here. I know it's crazy, but can we get it working?
Absolutely. We're ingenious. But yeah, this is meant... You remember in the Dark Descent how you go through all this scary, really scary crap in the first segments, and then you do the infamous water monster section, and that's like so good, so effective, really scary, keeps you on your toes. And then you reach the back hall, and it's just this beautiful, like that gorgeous, but still like slightly eerie fountain. And you know it's a total safe space because of the beautiful choir music that's playing. And it's a transformative, gorgeous moment in video game horror history, because the game is sort of lifting the lifting the tension, and then when it does become dangerous again later on, that's so effective. And what's just happened now, I've realized, is that Amnesia Rebirth has tried to recreate that moment step by step, but instead of building up with effective scares and sort of hints of monsters, and that really like awesome chase sequence with the water monster, the invisible water monster, which is so good because you can't see where he is exactly. You have to rely on the environment to see where the monster's coming from. Instead, we ran away from red jelly for 2 minutes. That I don't know why it was chasing us, where it's come from. I assume it's the Vitae, the Ecor or whatever that the alchemist guy from the alien world was talking about, but no context. That wasn't frightening. This isn't. This isn't a revelatory space, like the back hall was. They're trying to pull off the same trick twice, but the setup for Rebirth sadly just didn't stick the landing. Very sad, because that moment in the Dark Descent is one of my fondest memories of the game. Like, I know I don't remember it very well because it's been so long, so many years, but I remember that bit vividly because it provided such a contrast to the actual effective set of scares, even if they weren't necessarily dangerous scares, that had been going for the first, couple of hours of gameplay, and then you get that. I don't know. Just disappointing. I'm not angry, I'm just disappointed. Yeah. God, I still like the music though. It's nice that they tried to remix the back hall stuff and try it again, but boy, I don't know if anyone else is feeling the disappointment here. Okay, what does this say? Observations. Leyden jar-like vessel. So the Leyden jar was the energy beam thingy. I should have brought those with me. Resembling those in place in device and portal chamber, but spent, broken, relic age unknown, manufacturing quality high, as if welded or cast using advanced bond industrial methods. Spiral symbol on Leyden jar bank also found on door near camp, leading to maze/grid chambers below. Device is powered by electric fluid or some means of gathering electric fluid. Nothing on the back. Okay. Check on the baby.
Too many dark corners. I'll try to hold on, but this will be difficult, little one.
This is like... I ended the last stream with such hope. And this is like, yeah, I don't know. It's like this game has so many good ideas, and just the execution is... It's faltering. It's faltering at almost every step, and I really want it to succeed, but it's not. Yeah, it's genuinely sad. Just not landing as the developers wanted it to. Okay, it's note time. Another 5 minutes, and then I think I'll head off for the day anyway. 17th of May, 1839. I was right, and it is a bitter pill. A Mithraeum, and in it an orb, and now my dolt of an assistant has shattered it. I have sent it and him to Brennenburg. Perhaps something may be salvaged. So Brennenburg, right, there's a Dark Descent stuff there. So what is left of me now? There is a gate here. I have Vitae, but I have no orb, and I've discovered nothing of what Brennenburg called the Traveler's Locket. The dull descent. Making me sadder, honestly. That's, yeah. Yet it is clear this place is part of something greater. These halls are not the final resting place of their great queen, whatever the legends may say. This is merely a spoke on a wheel. What does the hub hold? I think the problem as well is... Oh, yeah, Yovios, yeah. Perfect reaction, yeah. It's, like, Machine for Pigs was not scary, but at least I was really invested in the story and the environment as well. But I'm invested in Tassie and making sure her baby gets out fine, or figuring out exactly what's going on with her. But beyond that, like, zero investment in like the world. I don't know. Just forgot Machine for Pigs even existed. Yeah, well, it wasn't made by Frictional and it wasn't scary, so you know. But I did really like the story. It felt like a almost a nice parable, I guess you'd call it, like a lament of a horror game. It's just a shame that it didn't pull off the fear factor. Had Machine for Pigs in my library for years, still haven't played it. It's worth, if you're in the mood for more of an ambient, puzzly kind of horror game. Um, it's definitely one to go to, but don't go into it with any expectation that it's going to be properly frightening like the Dark Descent is. But it does have a good story. I actually enjoyed the story quite a lot when I played it. I thought it was a lot of fun, and had some really nice narrative weight to it, and used some good visual metaphor. Spoken about what it is with horror that attracts you towards it. I'm someone who appreciates what it adds to things I like. It's never my favorite part of them. Isn't that the one you literally can't die? I'll respond to your question in a second, Frankaloons. Isn't that the one you literally can't die? And I remember seeing something about it where people were purposely losing health. That's a good question. I seem to recall that might have been the case in a few encounters. I do recall dying at a particular section quite a few times. No, I swear you can die in that one. But maybe there are a few sections where the game is trying to tutorialize something and that sort of hoodwinks you, and that cheapens the enemy fear factor. I think Amnesia Rebirth might have an enemy or two like that, but I haven't actually died yet, so I've not got to see that. Spoken about what it is with horror. It's, I guess, and I'm probably just gonna do a video essay and a blog post on this as well. It's been something I've thinking about recently. Actually, you've almost read my mind. I was sort of wondering what attracts me to horror in the first place, and I think beyond like what initially attracted me to video game horror was the fact that video game horror tackled themes that other games were sort of loath to tackle or would never tackle. Like they were taking depression and trauma and ideas of sort of shame and those kinds of heavier themes more seriously than other games would take them, or even that other games wouldn't even touch them because their content would understandably alienate a lot of players. But in horror, that's kind of the point. And that was sort of the original impetus for me to get into horror in the first place, was to experience a wider range of emotions and sort of understand how they were presented in games. But I think horror. I talk a lot about the process of self discovery in art and the process of making art as a form of self discovery. And horror, in some sense, is a form of self discovery. It's a way to push boundaries and to assess limits. Um, it's a really pure genre as well, because it breaks out of traditional conventions of and expectations, and allows the artist to play around with ideas that in other genres might be considered, again, like unsavory. But yeah, for me, there's something profound about the way in which a horror game can illuminate fears of my own or shortcomings of my own, but also games, especially, how they can offer a pathway to improve that aspect of yourself, or to understand the aspect of yourself better. And of course, that doesn't happen with every horror game. Some horror games are just schlock, and that's fun. That can be fun too. But I hope I'm not rambling here, and that I'm making myself clear. I don't know if anyone else thinks in a similar fashion, but I see horror as something really an introspective process, and a lot of people definitely don't see it that way. But that's how I've thought of it for quite a while, and that's why I'm so interested in dissecting it and spreading that vision, that idea of horror with the world. It doesn't have to be lowbrow, and it doesn't have to mean nothing. A lot of people. I'm gonna end in just a second, so I won't really do anything else. But a lot of people conflate schlock as well, with like really being really low down on artistic meter, and sometimes they're definitely right. Sometimes schlock is just schlock, but there's this term elevated horror, and I don't know if you've heard of it, but I find it a really bizarre term because it feels reserved for like a set of new horror films that are supposed to be examining societal issues. But I find it weird that it precludes any, like, no older films seem to be being included in this like elevated horror terminology, and it implies that everything that came before these new sort of sociological horror films that try to analyze how society works and why cultures act the way they do, for instance, it, it it's reductive, I guess. Genre. This is something I grapple with as well, and I'll probably talk about this more later. But genre can be reductive, and I think in the case of art, there's almost nothing worse than being reductive. I think, as I stated in that blog post I wrote the other day on the quote unquote media literacy sort of trend that I've seen in pockets of the internet, where people seem to think that there should only be one reading to a work of art. Just reductive nonsense. Sometimes, yeah, as I stated in the article as well, there can be some takes that you do wonder, like, how on earth did the person arrive at this conclusion? And you can obviously debate back against them. Like, I'm not saying debate isn't an option, but I think it's when someone tries to shut down that debate, I think, and say no. When they approach it and say no, this is the only way that you can read a work. We're feeding back into that really negative, reductive space, and it's one of my least favorite things about internet culture. I think, full stop. How reductive it is, and I really hope that the work that I do isn't reductive. I know I'm like the process of analyzing is confusing to me because, in some sense, I feel I am being reductive. That I am in some way, that people will come to my videos and they will say, "This is it. This is how I read this game now. This is what I think about when I like." Someone will go up to one of my character analysis videos and be like, "This is the point on the chart where it ends." That's done. I can sort of dust my hands of it. I know everything there is to know, but that's not the purpose of anything that I do. I hope that when you watch those videos, that you see them as starting points, not end points. That I've picked on a lot of threads, and there are so many threads that I didn't have time to burrow down into. There are many threads I didn't even consider, which people will often bring up in the comments. I don't know. I find it difficult to analyze things without being too reductive, and I hope that I'm not doing an injustice to the work when I try and analyze it, because what I'm trying to avoid is the corralling of artworks into like one pen, one genre, one category. That this is, yeah, I don't know. It's really, really, really hard. I try and come off. Yes, sorry, I haven't responded to that comment yet, but I was really glad that you agreed with that there can't be an endpoint. That it's terribly reductive to have an endpoint in the first place. It's a rubbish idea, but I see it so often, and that again, people value, as I said in my Siren video, I think, or somewhere, that people value the end product. People value the end point. They want an empirical understanding of the game. They want the art to be chewed for them, and not everyone is like that. A vast majority of people aren't like that, but I find the people who do want art to be delivered to them like that, or even AI generated, God forbid. I find that disturbing. Disturbing. Can't speak for everyone, but your work has opened up a lot of thought avenues in video games, not just Pathologic or Siren and some of the others you touched upon. I'm glad. I'm glad that it's working. Because what I don't want to do is I don't want to shut off avenues of exploration. It would be lovely if my works could become, if what I've worked on could become touchstone of some kind, for people to be like, oh, so you can take this stuff seriously. You can analyze a single character in Pathologic, but that wasn't what I was interested in about this character. So I'm gonna dive into it, or just even just try and add into the comments, like, oh, but have you considered blah blah blah? And chances are I might not have. But yeah, I find it's all a big complex muddle in my head at the moment, I think. But I find, yeah, articles, videos, and streams have been huge for the way I look at these kinds of games. In particular, I tend to forget things or not notice things or play on autopilot. These works have helped me examine Pathologic analytically in the absence of first-hand experience in some areas. Awesome. No, I'm glad to hear that. Pennies come off as reductive at all. In comparison, a while ago I watched a 4-hour-long Twin Peaks analysis video that was fascinating, but it was presented as the explanation in a way that really bothered me. God awful David Lynch impression. Very nice. No, I'm really glad. Tonally, I want to come off. I want to come off as genuine and like knowledgeable, but not authoritative. Like I'm not. Like I like to think, I could be like a touchstone or like a lexicon of knowledge, but I'm not the touchstone. I'm not the lexicon of knowledge. I'm just there. Anyone who seems to understand the explanation of David Lynch works has to be awful. Exactly, yeah. But I find it presumptuous and quite arrogant, for someone to say, "This is it. This is it." Yeah. Some of them would add up to dozens of hours if you watch through the whole playlist. That's what I'm afraid of too. I've got to be honest. Is that like I look at the videos. Like I saw some crazy video pop up on my recommended, and it was one of those like 12-hour Elder Scrolls retrospectives or something, and I was blown away first by this whoever wrote it, their dedication, but I was confused as well as to like were they trying to build a definitive text? I don't know. I find hideously long videos slightly strange, both as a creator and a potential viewer. It's a huge time investment. Yes, it's very strange, and yes, I should do something on Pets Cop. I think some people use those kinds of videos to assert a sort of intellectual superiority instead of continuing the conversation. Yeah. Bad opinion, but I absolutely refuse to watch any analysis video that uses the word retrospective, deep dive, new look, etc. Oh, I think one of my blog posts used the word retrospective. Oh no, but no, I know what you mean. It's something weird about it. Something weird about this sort of deep dive, authoritative. I think what I don't like about it actually, in most cases, in terms of retrospective, is how historical the essayist gets. They get really bogged down in minute details. Yeah, a difference between self-indulgence and intellectual pursuit. Absolutely, I think at a certain point, the people are just writing to pad out the runtime. Like they're repeating themselves. That kind of thing. I'm sure I do that as well, but at least not on a 12-hour scale. Hopefully, just on a smaller scale as I try and hammer home my wee argument here and there. But yeah, the reason I suggested Pets Cop because there's a fan mode game that simulates it after you watch the web series itself. It might fit your style of content, albeit in a weird way compared to what you've done so far. No, that sounds really interesting. is it so it's a fan made game as well, so it's an interpretation of the original video creator's vision, which could be really interesting to look into, and sort of see what emphasis they placed and why. No, that could be really cool. It's the retrospective deep dive new look thing. We come back to that reductive quality, I think, and is what I find in so many of those videos I try and watch. So many YouTube video essayists try and present their work as the definitive be all and end all kind of. This is your one stop shop for everything. Skyrim, say this is the only video you need to watch because I've done commentary on literally everything. And yeah, I don't understand the need for that. Um, mm, I don't. Yeah, I don't like art being reduced and categorized. I have a very personal reaction to those kinds of things. Basically, just serves as a playable version of the series, though it's not entirely done yet. And sometimes it's a pain to play since it's consistent with the world as it appears in the series, meaning some puzzles are very difficult or time-consuming to figure out without good instructions. Okay, maybe not one for the stream then. I'd probably spend hours bashing my head against a wall trying to figure out what the heck to do. But no, that's and in a long-winded way, Frankaloons, I hope that answers somewhat your question about what attracts me to horror. It's a question I will no doubt expand upon as the year goes on, I think. Yeah, I'll probably make a video essay or a blog post, yeah. Can't stand the ones that stretch on for hours and spend most of their time just explaining what happens in the story. Yeah. It makes me wonder whoever writes those video essays, I wonder if they were ever taught to write an essay in school, you know? And the first rule, I swear the first rule I was taught in school was do not just recap the plot. Please, for the love of God, do not recap the plot in your essay. Yeah, you know? I don't know why there's such a fascination with that. I think again it might just be a runtime thing. We're trying to be like the canonical YouTube video, the one stop shop thing again. Just chuck the whole plot in there. No one will notice. But yeah, no, it doesn't work. It doesn't work if you. I don't. What I especially don't understand is why people watch video essays of works that they haven't played and then use those video essays as their argument, their stance to the whole thing. No, I don't get it, and I especially don't get people who, even those who haven't played the game, will watch it, which makes no sense. Exactly. Yeah, it doesn't compute. As well as this. I mean, you sort of get into some muddy moral and ethical waters, I suppose. But a lot of people on the internet, I've seen another slightly worrying trend. No worries. No, I'm glad you agree with me. Favorite essays, including yours. Oh, thank you. Would inspire me to play, watch, read, whatever the thing is, if I hadn't already. But those super long ones feel like there's hardly a point after. Yeah, some guys rambled about the plot for 10 hours. You know, what I hope, my video essays inspire you to go back and play the game yourself and see if I missed anything, or if what I'm saying actually has weight to it, and whether you can add anything to, or whether it adds anything to your interpretation. But I don't want to take away from your interpretation. I think is what was my main goal. But yeah, well, I'll finish on this point. Sort of the weird like trend of people synonymizing like the content of a work and how ethical the creator is. Like if a creator includes like murder or something in their work, all of a sudden the creator is like a bad person. Which I guess, it's one of those really like outliery kind of things, that it's really only a small segment of the population that's saying these things. And need I remind anyone who's listening that there's actually no such thing as cancel culture. All the people who complain about cancel culture are complaining about it from a talk show, I think, which is defeating the point. But horror, especially though, I find is it's been victim to so many cancellations and censorships and that kind of thing. Simply for the content, even if that content is trying to provide a valuable message or a critique of society. And I think a lot of people miss out on the critique because they're too busy looking at the surface level of horror, which is the scary stuff, the gore and that kind of thing. Um, yeah, I guess it's all down to personal likes and dislikes. I hope this conversation has made more sense than this game's plot thus far. Discussions always ratchet up to 11 right before the stream ends. Yeah, no, I extended the stream time. Obviously, I've run overtime, which is fine. I hope the stream has been enjoyable. I just wish Amnesia Rebirth was slightly more convincing. But yeah, really always happy to have these kinds of conversations because it's really what interests me, and it's why I honestly, yeah, one of the reasons that I keep doing this is, yeah, to have these chats with you guys. You're all, yeah, really interesting, intelligent people, and I really value that. So yeah, thank you. Should probably be off now though. All right. Thank you. I'll see you guys. I'll see you guys next time. It's been a real pleasure. I guess next time I'll either be playing more Rebirth or some smaller, more experimental project. We'll see how I feel on the day. Good. Have a good one to you too. Yeah, really, a lot of fun. A lot of fun these streams. Have a lot of fun. No worries. Thank you for coming. Means a lot as always. And yeah, special thanks to Frankaloons and Futurecityscape for your really valued patrons. Monetary support. I didn't think, like, in 1,000 years, I didn't think I'd receive any monetary support. I can't monetize my stuff on YouTube because I do a lot of archival work as well. So just getting any, just being paid for what I do is remarkable. So thank you. All right, I should go. Have a good one. Stay safe, everyone.